Hitting the Road is proudly sponsored by...
Some bears spend a lot of time preparing their dens for winter. Others just unpack, settle in, and snooze. Learn more about Sleepy Bear's story at travellodge.com.
As well as contributions from G.E. Johnson Construction Company, Charles J. Murphy, Gray Line of Colorado, Laura and Brian Markovich, Elham and Edward Ketchum, Wendy and Mark Pfeiffer, and viewers like you. When they said there's gold in them there hills, they weren't talking about the Aspens. I'm Donna Vesey, your adventurista, and on this episode of Hitting the Road, we're going to strike out in search of the mother lode to bring you the story of gold mining, past and present, so stay tuned.
I'm hitting the road again, got adventure crawling under my skin, going places that I've never been. I'm hitting the road, I'm hitting the road again, gonna take along all my friends, living life like there's just no end. I'm hitting the road, feeling better since I don't know when. I'm hitting the road.
Just as the prospectors did over 100 years ago, we begin our exploration by panning for gold in a stream in south central Colorado. From there, we head to the School of Mines in Golden, Colorado, and dig up a few nuggets on the history of gold mining. After that, we'll take a tunnel into the past in Silverton, Colorado, and see just how hard rock mining was during the gold rush. Finally, it's Pikes Peak or bust as we visit an active gold mine in Victor, Colorado, and see just how far the technology has advanced since gold was first discovered there. Okay, so get this. You know the gold in your wedding ring or that necklace you're wearing? It's literally billions of years old. It takes the tremendous pressures and temperatures that occur when a star explodes to make all the elements that comprise everything we see around us. It takes a supernova to create the heavier metals like mercury, lead, silver, and gold. Most of the gold that was present when the Earth was formed 4.5 billion years ago was drawn to the Earth's core. So the gold that we find in the Earth's surface was brought to us by meteors in the late heavy bombardment about 4 billion years ago. Lucky for us, there's still enough of it around to make prospecting for it a worthwhile endeavor. Today, I'm going to try my hand at the oldest method of hunting for this treasured metal. George Enterman is with the Gold Prospectors of Colorado and has been prospecting for years. Today, he's going to teach me everything I need to know about panning for gold. When did you start gold prospecting? How old were you?
Oh, 43, 44?
Were you really?
Yeah.
What got you interested?
I'm a history buff, so when you start to look into the history of Colorado and stuff like that, you find out it's a big part of the history of Colorado. And I found this organization, Gold Prospectors of Colorado, and I found out they had their own claims. They've got a plan of operations filed with the BLM.
So, tell me what this is?
This is a sluice box.
And what does the sluice box do?
Washes your material that you put in the head box here. Gold is 19.5 times heavier than water. So therefore, when you put it in water, that gold's going to sink, just like a lure or a lead sinker when you go fishing. It's going to sink. So when you got your water flow coming through here, this black matting up here will catch that smaller particles of gold, or even if it gets bumped out, it'll catch back here in these other 8 baffles to the end of the sluice box. Because those are ridges, that's not a flat surface.
Okay.
You know, it's jagged, like a floor mat or something like that. And so when the water runs over it, with gold being 19.5 times heavier than the water, it'll get stuck in there and sit.
What equipment do you need to go gold panning?
Okay, one, you don't even need a sluice box.
Okay.
All you need is a gold pan. That's all you need. But with this, the dredge, the high banker, and other equipment, you can process more material. Yeah, you just kind of shake it and spread it from side to side.
Like that?
Back a little bit. There you go, right there.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's washing it out. See how it's building up down at the bottom?
Yeah.
It's washing it. That's what it's doing. There goes the lighter gemstones. There goes the sand.
There's the heavier ones.
Yeah, those are the heavier ones. But you can see the black. See, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at all the yellow.
Yeah, look at all that gold. Oh, there's a line of gold right up here. And it kind of looks like a Texas night right here, full of stars. Granted, a few of them are making their way down, but not like that first ridge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, Mother Nature's cleaning it. This is your tailings that come out of the sluice box that, with any luck, there is no gold in it. Now I'm going to show you how to pan.
Okay.
And we're not going to do it in the river.
Oh, we're not?
No.
Okay, we're going to do it in a bucket.
We're going to do it in that black tub right there.
Okay, good.
So, this is the material that was dug up the hill. And what we're going to do, it's all been classified now, is sink it.
So are you trying to shake the dirt out of the pan?
No. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if you do because the gold is sinking.
Okay.
So if you get if some of this comes over, don't worry about it because the gold's sinking. Now you can see here from the bottom of the pan, some of it's already coming out. See how the granite is all gathered around at the end?
And all the other minerals too.
Yeah. Well, what you're going to start looking for, the more you agitate it, you bring the end of it up to where this is an inch below.
Okay.
And this is maybe an inch above the bottom. And you swirl it like this.
Swirl.
See how that lighter material is just washing right out of the pan?
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Okay. So let's see.
This goes under an inch.
Under an inch. Okay.
There you go. And keep this about 2 inches.
How am I
Just
doing?
A little more. There you go. See the tornado effect going
Oh,
on in there?
yeah.
Yeah. And all that lighter material is just washing right out of the pan. Now you see how you start to see that black stand showing up?
Uh-huh.
That's what
where
you
the
want.
gold is.
That's where the gold is. You can already see specks of gold popping up there in
Yep,
the corner.
you sure can. And what do you do with this?
Squeeze.
And suck up the gold.
Suck up the gold. Some of it slid down.
There's some there.
Yeah.
Little flecks right in here.
Gold prospecting here in Colorado is nothing but a hobby. You're not going to get rich. It's just the reward of finding something some 1800s miner missed. What was it, about a month, 2 months ago, in a public prospecting area. Again, no private claim like this is or nothing. Public prospecting area. Found a 5-pound nugget in California 2 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the thrill of the hunt.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, we've all looked for that 5-pound nugget out here. And we're still looking.
Bruce Geller, museum director of the Geology Museum at the Colorado School of Mines, leaves no stone unturned while excavating the history of gold mining. As museum director, Bruce oversees an impressive collection of minerals and gemstones.
So I began collecting rocks when I was 6 years old, and they were nothing special, especially to my mother. But it was the beginning of a great hobby and eventually a great profession, and no regrets. Rocks are Mother Nature's beauties. They're miraculous. Gold was discovered commercially in Colorado in 1859. The very first production happened in January of 1859, and it came from panning, from plastering. It was not vein gold at that point. There's a saying, gold is where you find it. It's very, very true. You can go 5 inches off the vein and you're not going to hit gold. The rock is going to be barren. Gold was discovered in Cripple Creek in 1891. Cripple Creek was one of the last major U.S. gold discoveries. And I mean one of the last. Not only does it have 25 million ounces, but it's truly an anomaly. The old timers from 1859 were looking for a Cripple Creek or something like it. They didn't find it. It was pretty much happenstance that one of the stories of Bob Womack, who discovered Cripple Creek, was out with cattle, and he had rocks that he found that he thought were unusual. They were heavy, whatever, and he subjected them to heat. These pieces had been roasted, showing their gold. He rushed down to Colorado Springs, showed one of the professors what he had, and the professor said, "This is very, very different. This is," yeah. He identified it readily, and the man went back and staked some claims, and the rest is history.
Why is Colorado, or is it the Rocky Mountains, that's such a mineral-rich area? What is it about the geology of this area?
In the western U.S., there are many, many ore deposits. You can start in Alaska, you can go all the way down to the tip of South America. It's basically the same formation. You had a plate plunging below a continent. Rock melted, it came up as volcanoes. Associated with the volcanoes were hot fluids that carried metals. But sure enough, in Colorado, some of the old volcanoes brought up metal, and sometimes it wasn't the same timing, maybe a few million years apart, but the metals come up in gashes, which we call veins, and the veins are sometimes very rich, sometimes very weak. By and large, gold is found in pyrite, even though you were probably taught in elementary school that pyrite is iron sulfide, it's fool's gold. Yeah, but the foolish part is it's really there in many places. Not all places, but the few places in Colorado, certainly, that have produced a lot of gold have pyrite-bearing or gold-bearing pyrite. So here's a piece of very high-grade ore from Cripple Creek from at least 100 years ago, I'm guessing. And the main mineral here is calaverite. Calaverite is gold combined with another element called tellurium, which is actually very, very rare on Earth. But there are 19 elements that like to combine with tellurium and make their own minerals. This mineral here, calaverite, was first described in Calaveras County, California, on the Mother Lode, where there's a lot of gold.
So this yellow is actually gold?
It contains gold, you bet. And if we had a way to drive the tellurium off, tellurium is very heat sensitive, then we can end up with what we call roasted ore. You won't have any trouble seeing the gold here.
No, absolutely not. Now, how did it get roasted?
You could use a furnace, you could use a blowtorch. Either way, I don't advise this for any of your listeners or viewers because this is extremely dangerous stuff. Tellurium can kill people. And we call this rusty gold. This is when Mother Nature takes over without a blowtorch or a furnace. The tellurium is dissolved and it leaves in solution, and you're left with gold, but it still isn't the same sparkly gold that most people are accustomed to. This happened very near to the Earth's surface at Cripple Creek, and when the prospectors saw this, eventually they realized it came as a breakdown of telluride-bearing ores.
Does the Cripple Creek Victor area have more gold than any other place in Colorado?
Yes, it does. So, as of 3-4 years ago when I did my study, the gold in Colorado amounted to roughly 45 million ounces of recorded production since 1859.
Wow.
Of that, Cripple Creek had 25 million, which is over half of the gold produced from Colorado.
Why Cripple Creek Victor?
That is an amazing place where there was a coincidental volcanic eruption, and over the years, the volcano that brought up the gold had multiple events and fractured the surrounding rocks, making veins and other deposits, and the gold came with the tellurium. And there are only a half dozen places on Earth, roughly, of that scale where you've got tremendous tellurides, tremendous gold, and they are world-famous localities. Cripple Creek is America's largest telluride-bearing district, and at 25 million ounces, it's on everybody's radar screen.
Ernie Kuhlman is my guide in the old 100 mine. Working conditions weren't all that great for early miners. We head deep into Galena Mountain to see just how hard rock mining was done over 100 years ago.
Now this area we stand in here is known as 32 Level Station. And they call it that because from where we stand here now to the summit of this mountain above us, there is 3,200 feet of rock. When you hired on as a miner here at the old Hunters 1904 era, they issued you a 4-pound hammer like this, known as a single jack, and some steel. And that was your job 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, drilling holes in rock by hand to put dynamite in to break it. And for that service at the time now, they paid you $3 a day for a 10-hour shift too. And if you lived in that boarding house high above, Donna, they kept $1. You got $2 in board and drink. Now, another kind of drilling that's done in the early days was the thing they called double jacking, 2-man drilling, teamwork. Now, one member of that team, he was known as the hammer man. And he ran an 8-pound double jack like this. Well, the other guy. Now they called him the steel tender. And of course his precarious job was to hold the steel. Now, the hammerman's job was to hit that steel as hard as he could. And I gotta tell you here, Donna, they had hammermen in that early day era that did this double jack work every day. They could hit that steel in competition 72 times in a minute. Now that's rolling fast, hitting hard, and I don't care who you are or where you at. So they rotate, they change positions. That way, if that guy hits your hand, you hit him back. Huh? And then, you know, I gotta tell you, the thing that changed all this from the hand steel era, the air compressor. Most of the equipment in underground hard rock mining here is pneumatic, ran by air. This is a 1940s column drill. See the column it's mounted on?
Yep.
Now, Donna, this drill runs on air. It rotates that steel out front. It's got a bit on the end to cut the rock, and you crown it with a worm or screw mechanism, but you can drill a 6-foot deep hole in this hard rock in 7 minutes. I want to show you here how to load and shoot around a dynamite.
Okay.
If we wanted to start us a tunnel right here, 8 foot high, 8 wide, we would bring one of those pneumatic drills in here that I ran for you, and we would drill us 30 holes into this face. Each one would be drilled 6 feet deep, 2 feet apart. Now, when all that drilling's accomplished, we move all our hoses of steel out of the area, bring up the dynamite, and load the holes. Now, Donna, I want to show you how to load it.
Okay.
Now, you stick 1 stick of dynamite in the very bottom of every hole.
The next stick gets fitted with a blasting cap, and then 3 more sticks are inserted into each hole.
You gotta cap them in with wood.
Okay.
You don't want to use metal because it sparks. Premature detonation, bad day.
Bad day.
So when you light the end of this, it'll burn down the center powder. But everywhere you notch that will spit out a very hot flame you can't put out. Now, but there's a pattern to lighting this.
The 30 holes are drilled in concentric circles, with one last one in the middle left for expansion. The fuses are set to blow the center holes first and work outward from there.
Okay, lift her straight up, Donna. All right, now before you push that down, say fire in the hole.
Fire in the hole.
Wait till I leave.
Okay.
Now you do it.
Fire in the hole.
Boom! Donna, we have been to the face. We have completed blasting around. Now I want to show you how to move that rock. You know, in the early days, they used to load all that rock into cars like this, and they did it with a shovel.
Right.
Now this is called a mucking machine. It's rather like a front end loader ran by air.
Okay.
It runs on rails, you can see. Now Donna, you advance that rail up front to the rock you just blasted, bring in an empty car behind, and this machine will load. This machine would fill that car in less than a minute. When it becomes full, you push it to a siding, bring another, get a string of them, they come in and take them out. This took a lot of work out of mining. Go ahead, swing that pick. 16 tons, remember?
What do you
Hey, another day older.
For a more modern look at the gold mining process, I sat down with Jane Mannon, Manager of Community Affairs at the Cripple Creek and Victor Gold Mine.
Well, our current project, the Crescent Project, started in 1995. The company itself was formed in 1976. Gold was discovered in 1891 in the Cripple Creek district, and there's been mining off and on since that time.
How do they find it?
We know that gold is here based on the geology of this area. And what we see is evidence of a historic volcanic diatreme. And then superheated liquid came up from the core of the earth with gold and silver in that. And that was deposited in the rocks.
So back in the 1800s, were they mining for a gold vein?
Part of the reason why gold was discovered so late here and why the California gold rush, the miners went right through the Cripple Creek area, is that we don't necessarily see visible gold. And what they found in this mining district was not the veins like you might see in the movies with a rock with a bright, shiny streak of gold in it. It was really rocks that were associated with gold and might have higher content of gold in the rocks, and they would follow those higher grade areas in their mining through the hillsides.
So you're mining on a molecular level then.
We really are. And what we're doing is really coming in and mining what might not have been economic for the historic miners. So we're mining a lower grade of ore, meaning there's less gold in it than historically what they found. And we're kind of taking out what the old timers left behind. So the process that we use to recover gold from the type of ore that we have really is a historic process. And this cyanide removal process was patented in 1861. So it's something that has been known for a long time that we could use cyanide to remove gold from the ore and not use a more advanced milling system or not use chemicals such as mercury, which were commonly used back in the day, that are very toxic in the environment. Our mining process begins with drilling. We bring in our production drills and they drill a hole that's 40 feet deep. We test the cuttings from that drill to discover where there's gold and where there's not economic resources, and then we use those holes from the drills for blasting. When we blast, we're trying to break up the rock enough that we can move it, but we're not shooting rocks all over the place. What we're really trying to do is just break up that rock enough, and then our big equipment comes in. We load the rock into trucks. The rock that has gold in it goes to the crusher. The rock that doesn't have gold is called overburden, and that goes to storage areas. And right now we're loading about 2 loads of overburden for every load of ore that goes to the crusher. So the ore goes to the crusher, we're crushing it to about 3/4 inch diameter, and then that material is loaded back into trucks and onto our Valley Leach facility, which is our lined area, basically like a big bowl that we've created with liner, an impervious liner. We put the crushed ore on top of that, and we drip a dilute sodium cyanide solution over the top of the ore, and that dissolves the gold that's on the surface of the ore. That sinks to the bottom of the bowl. We pump that out through our processing plant. And in simple terms, the gold is filtered out of that process solution with activated carbon. And then it goes into our refinery where it's poured into our doré buttons.
And how much do those dories weigh?
Generally, they're about 65 to 70 pounds. And what we ship from here is a combination of gold and silver. It's about 18 karat gold.
How much gold do you produce on an annual basis?
Last year we produced a little over 230,000 ounces, and we're on track to do that this year. Next year we think that our production will be up based on the new process with our new mill that's coming online next year.
They literally move mountains in order to extract the gold-bearing ore, and Jane explains what is done to reclaim the land once they are done.
Well, before we start any mining at all, we have to have our reclamation plan in place. And that's approved through the state of Colorado and Teller County. And we have to post a bond to be able to carry out that reclamation plan without any additional cost to the taxpayers if for some reason our company can't complete that approved plan. And our plan has many different components. For the Valley Leach facility, that facility will be detoxified. We have to get all of the chemicals out of that facility, and once we have clean water circulating through the Valley Leach facility that meets water quality standards, then we will come in, re-slope the slopes of that to a 2-to-1 slope. We have topsoil that we've stockpiled from different areas of the mining operation. We'll put topsoil on that, we'll reseed that and plant that with native species. Our goal is to return that to a stable landform and the original land uses of this area of wildlife habitat and grazing. For the mining areas, many of those areas will be backfilled with overburden or that rock that doesn't have gold in it. And then that will also be topsoiled and reseeded for reclamation. In the areas where the high walls remain of the main mine pits, those will be maintained to make sure that they're stable. Lots of discussion, of course, people are interested in geology classes or rock climbing classes or many of those unique opportunities space that might be available once we're done with our mining operation.
Of course, when we think of gold, we think of bling, but there are many other uses for it, from coins and investments to practically every piece of electronics that we use in our everyday lives. It even has medical applications, and it's still popular with dentists. So, no matter how it's used, you could say that gold is still a solid investment.
I'm hitting the road again. Got adventure crawling under my skin. Going places that I've never been. I'm hitting the road. I'm hitting the road again. Gonna take along all my friends. Living life like there's just no end. I'm hitting the road. Feeling better since I don't know when. I'm hitting the road.
Hitting the Road is proudly sponsored by...
Some bears spend a lot of time preparing their dens for winter. Others just unpack, settle in, and snooze. Learn more about Sleepy Bear's story at travellodge.com.
As well as contributions from G.E. Johnson Construction Company, Charles J. Murphy, Gray Line of Colorado, Laura and Brian Markovich, Elham and Edward Ketchum, Wendy and Mark Pfeiffer, and viewers like you.